Over the years, there has been rappers that sadly passed in unbelievable ways, such as XXXTentacion. On June 18th, 2018, the day that XXXTentacion passed, his day starts by him hopping into his all-black custom BMW i8 and driving over to Riva Motorsports. Riva is a massive retailer for motorcycles, boats, and off-roading vehicles. Once arriving to the store, X finds a motorcycle that he likes. As a manager then proceeds to tell X that they do cash deals as well as big discounts if you bring in all cash. XXXTentacion is then seen leaving the shop, calling his mom to update on buying the vehicle. His mother then tells X to bring his uncle so someone can drive his i8 home while he drives the motorcycle. The uncle plays a major role in his passing, so make sure you remember. XXXTentacion and his uncle then arrive to the Bank of America, where security surveillance catches X walking into the bank and speaking with the teller.
During your encounter with Mr. Envoy during this time, what was his demeanor like? Fun. He said he's happy.
During trial, the bank teller would mention that the Florida rapper wanted $250,000 in cash. She had to reject him at the bank booth as their policies only allow for $50,000 cash withdrawals. She handed over X the 50 grand and he ordered the other 200,000 for him to pick up at a later date. Now, what XXXTentacion didn't realize was walking back to his vehicle, the four suspects of Michael Boatwright, Dedrick Williams, Trayvon Newsom, and Robert Allen were all four scoping out his BMW i8 inside of the parking lot. Robert Allen, the snitch amongst the four, were already committed to wanting to commit a crime this day for money. XXXTentacion and his custom BMW practically fell into their hands. They watched X get into his car. They knew exactly who he was right off first glance, so they immediately started following. Robert Allen mentions that while they were following him driving back to Riva, they had two things in mind: snatch his diamond chain and find out what was in the Louis Vuitton duffel bag that he brought into the Bank of America. XXXTentacion arrives back to Riva for the final time. Arriving at the retailer, the four suspects would then park their van across the street, trying to stay out of the surveillance camera's way. Two men then hop out of the car so they could watch X from a distance inside of Riva Motorsports, while also purchasing the ski masks and gloves that they used for the crime only 10 feet away from XXXTentacion inside of the store. Many people were not aware of that. Here's even surveillance footage of them entering the store with X. One of the craziest part is X actually makes eye contact with one of the suspects as caught on tape. Now, XXXTentacion continues on. Looking at the motorcycles with his uncle, he ends up changing his mind and not purchasing. This means that all of the money is still inside of the Louis Vuitton bag. X and his uncle then proceed to leave Riva. Right behind them was the two suspects sprinting out of Riva, sprinting right past X and his uncle to the van that is parked across the street, as this is when X made the worst mistake ever. XXXTentacion would sit inside of the parking lot for roughly 5 minutes, giving the suspects enough time to get back to their van. When it was time to leave, X turns his vehicle off. The suspects turn their van on. XXXTentacion then tries to pull out of the driveway. Meanwhile, the van cuts them right off from the one exit way. With XXXTentacion blocked and nowhere to go, two men then hop out of the vehicle, one going to XXXTentacion's window while the other goes to his uncle's side window. The man at X's window has a firearm pointed right at X, demanding him to roll his window down and hand over the money. X would refuse and try defending himself, making the two men very angry. With the two men getting angrier and angrier, X's uncle would then open up his side of the door, sprinting away from XXXTentacion, leaving him all by himself against two men with masks and firearms. This is then when one of the robbers would go to the passenger side door, seeing as the door is wide open. He then gets to X inside of the vehicle while the other man uses his firearm towards X. XXXTentacion continued to defend off his chains and cash. This is then when we all knew what happened after that. The two men were able to run off with X's Louis V bag full of cash. Meanwhile, X's uncle is already back inside of Riva Motorsports calling his mom. Now, in court, it would be revealed, and I quote, "Prosecutor says Dedrick Williams was driving and cut off the car being driven by X. Michael Boatwright and Trayvon Trayvon Newsom were the two that put the ski masks on and had firearms. The passenger manages to run away. They approach X and Boatwright does the act towards them. One of the 4 suspects, named Robert Allen, ended up snitching in the trial for X's passing. Robert would reveal everything that we need to know. We even learned how they split up the $50,000 that was found in the Louis V bag. There's even photos of the 4 flexing the money. Michael Boatwright, Dedrick Williams, and Trayvon Newsom all got $15,000 each. This means that Robert was the only one given $5,000. Pretty interesting, the man paid the least amount of money turned out to be the one to snitch. There's even a tweet that shares pictures taken after X's passing, same day, shows Michael Boatwright flexing a ton of cash. Defendant turned state testifies that this was XXXTentacion's money, and the photo was taken hours after the incident, revealing these photos of the suspects flexing a few $1,000s, thinking that they're cool. Shortly after, Robert Allen would share the money situation and what X's last words were. After the incident was done and the suspects hopped back into the van and began driving away, they would share what X was saying in his final moment. As shared by DJ Academics, XXXTentacion's last words were, "What is this for?" making his passing feel even more upsetting. Pop Smoke's passing was also a very concerning one with a very deep backstory.
Hello, it's the fire department. I know, but you're not talking. We're already on our way. Give me your...
Police still don't know the motive behind this, whether it was an attempted robbery or something else.
Detectives have arrested 5 people in connection with of rapper Pop Smoke.
Pop Smoke was one of the hottest rappers in the game leading up to his passing on February 19th, 2020. However, the truth behind his passing has always been a mystery until today, as the unknown secrets have finally been revealed by the suspects that were involved in the crime. It all begins on February 17th, 2020. Only 48 hours before his passing, Pop had been hanging out around New York rapper Fabio Foreign before flying back to Los Angeles.
I woke up. I guess like it had happened overnight. And it's crazy because I was just with him the night before. He flew out that night, went to LA, and then it happened. So I'm like, automatically, I'm like, it's fake.
Needing a place to stay for the weekend, Pop Smoke would rent out an Airbnb in Beverly Hills. The following morning on February 18th, Pop would share a photo to his Instagram with a view from the mansion and even tagged the Beverly Hills. At this moment in Pop Smoke's music career, he was on the uptrend, as well as learning and getting used to all of the newfound fame. He was unaware that people were watching his every single move, especially on social media, which is why with every single post that Pop would make on social media, the men that took his life got closer to tracking him down. First was his post in the mansion. They knew that he was in Beverly Hills. Pop continued sharing his day online every single hour. From having his barber even come over to give him a fresh haircut, he would even post this by the pool in the afternoon. However, his next post was when the hitters really decided to go after him, as Pop Smoke was fitted in designer clothing, and the next slide even featured him and his longtime best friend, Mike D. He was holding stacks of cash right outside of the mansion, further attracting Pop Smoke's attackers that much more. An hour later, Mike D posted these photos showing the rich life that they have been living. They then got caught up in flexing their wealth online, as this post not only revealed the front of the house, but it also included 3 digits of the home's address. All Pop Smoke's hitters now needed to figure out what was the first digit, and then they would know his exact location. For some reason, Pop Smoke and his team were terrible at hiding his location on this day, as it would only get worse later on in the night. According to reports, Pop Smoke spent the evening out shopping. Then when he returned home, Pop would relax at the crib and even shared a photo of his nighttime view. This was timestamped to be around 10 p.m., only 6 hours before Pop would sadly lose his life. 30 minutes later, Pop Smoke received a gift and even posted it onto his Facebook. Thanking designer Mike Amiri for sending some designer clothing, he was extremely excited about this gift that he didn't even realize he just showed the entire world his exact address as it was printed on the tags of the gifts in the video.
Wait. Mike and Mary. Billie Jean. Good looks, Mike and Mary. Gifts.
The robbers didn't even have to do any digging into where Pop Smoke even was, as the place that he was staying at was on the internet for anyone to view, as it was on Airbnb. According to reports, one of Pop Smoke's managers then asked him to actually delete the post after he noticed several hours later. Before anything happened, Pop then left the house again. He headed over to East West Recording Studios, which is only a few miles away. While he was gone, reports say a black BMW drove past the mansion and even parked just down the street. Security cameras captured the passenger of the BMW sneaking towards the back of the mansion. As 2 minutes later, the man then returned to his vehicle and they quickly sped away. Pop was finally finishing up at the recording studio. Him and Mike D, as well as a woman named Amelia Rose, all three hopped into a Range Rover and started driving back to the Airbnb. Rose and Pop were going to the master bedroom, as while Mike D was going down the hall to a separate bedroom. After being home for a few hours, a sedan then pulls up to the house around 4 a.m. With the headlights off, four shadows would emerge from the vehicle and go down the side of the mansion. As they snuck into the backyard, Pop Smoke is in his bathroom taking a shower while Rose is laying in bed. All of a sudden, the four men bursted into the bedroom, all four wearing ski masks and telling the lady to be quiet. Pointing firearms in her direction, the other three men quickly rushed into the bathroom after Pop. Rose told detectives she would hear the sounds of a struggle between them before hearing Pop Smoke scream and then a loud popping sound. This is when Pop Smoke would sadly fall to the ground. The two intruders continued going after him. As Pop Smoke quickly realized his life was in jeopardy, he tried getting up and running away downstairs, but unfortunately, Rose would state she heard two more loud pop noises and it went off. As the robbers would quickly flee the scene, grabbing anything they can, she would then quickly run down the stairs to find Pop Smoke sitting at the bottom, and at the same time, Mike D was awoken by the sound of the first firearm noise. He was hiding in his bedroom closet, waiting for all of the noise and commotion to calm down before exiting. He would quickly look inside Pop Smoke's room, however, he would just find the two at the bottom of the staircase, as he would then call 911.
Hello? PD, what are your numbers? Hello, this is the fire department. I know, but you're not talking. We're already on their way. Give me your... Are you in a safe place, sir?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Unknown, okay. They're on their way.
Medics arrived on the scene and then rushed to take Pop Smoke to the medical center, but sadly, he didn't make it.
4:55 this morning, multiple LAPD Hollywood units responded to a call at 3 Hercules Drive in the Hollywood Hills, was being broken into by multiple suspects, and that one of them was with a... When officers arrived there, they discovered a inside the house and transported that to Cedars-Sinai Hospital, where he was pronounced.
Detectives began investigating to find who was responsible. Both the BMW and Infiniti were both noticed by detectives, as through DMV records, they would find that both cars are registered to a 19-year-old named Corey Walker. With Corey being a person of interest, a judge issued a warrant giving detectives access to his Google account. They would find a very interesting search history, as his account revealed his search of the house's address and even visited the LAPD's website only 2 hours before the crime, as he looked up the address of the real estate on the website Zillow. This gave him, as well as his team, photos to see what the inside of the house looked like, as his next search would be at 5:15 a.m., which is only 20 minutes after Mike D called 911, where he searched, and I quote, Rolex Oyster Datejust, which is the exact watch they stole from Pop Smoke in the bathroom. The value of the watch they got after robbing and doing this to Pop Smoke, they sold for around $3,000. These four teens ruined their entire lives just to split for $500 to $750 each. Despite having a very suspicious online record, law enforcement didn't have enough hard proof yet. It wasn't until a 15-year-old was then arrested on unrelated crimes that the case would then break wide open. Detectives had him on a person of interest list, so when they brought him into jail, they rigged his entire cell with recording devices, where he would end up confessing to his cellmate that he was involved in the robbery of Pop Smoke and that he was actually the one that used the firearm. The driver was then also arrested not too longer for other charges. He too would also confess to his cellmate and told the exact same story as the 15-year-old. According to both of them, they actually had no intention of doing this to Pop Smoke. All they wanted was his jewelry and designer clothing, but when Pop Smoke wouldn't back down in the bathroom, they panicked and then did the act. Corey Walker was the 19-year-old 17-year-old who stayed in the car during the robbery, while 18-year-old Keandre Rogers led to the charge into the house. They were both charged with the passing of Pop Smoke, and they are continuing to await their trial. However, the other two, aged 17 and 15 at the time of the crime, both pleaded guilty to being involved.
One of the four men accused of Brooklyn rapper Pop Smoke just pled guilty. The 20-year-old man was 17 at the time of the
They aren't even named since they weren't 18 at the time of the crime. However, the 17-year-old is now 20. He is sentenced to 4 years and 2 months inside of a detention facility. Meanwhile, the 15-year-old, who was the man that did the act, is expected to be held in a state juvenile facility until he turns the age 25. Unfortunately, the two younger ones won't have to spend their lives behind bars for what they did. Both Corey Walker and Keandre Rogers will face up to life inside of prison for their charges, but overall, this should be a life lesson to many young rappers in the game to not post every single thing about your life on social media, especially your whereabouts. The rapper Tupac Shakur passed over 2 decades ago now, and in 2024, we're now starting to see his case being brought up again. The Tupac Shakur passing case has been getting reinvestigated by the police. With updates in technology over the last 2 decades, it's been making the police's lives a lot easier on finding new evidence in this cold case. One investigator even has a theory that Tupac is still alive, where he reveals that Tupac was originally an industry plant in the music industry, having a job of stopping the beef between the red and blue street teams.
What did you find most fascinating about the alternative history of Tupac?
Well, it turns out when I talked to Tupac's longtime mentor, political mentor, former Black Panther Chokwe Lumumba, who was his first business manager, he's told me, you know, I basically asked, well, was Tupac only pretending to be in order to appeal to gangs and politicize them? And he said yes. And that was part of his thug life agenda that he came up with his imprisoned stepfather, Mutulu Shakur. And so Tupac was just using that in order to get the and the leaders to call peace truces, first in Los Angeles, then throughout California, and then throughout the country. And that was why he was pretending to be this type. And really, he was just an intellectual prodigy.
Then with the plan obviously not working, with the two teams still rivaling against each other, causing so much crime in certain areas, Tupac Shakur would then suddenly pass. Snoop Dogg would then even be asked to react to the investigator's interview, when suddenly Snoop would claim that he was supposed to be in the BMW with Tupac and Suge Knight on the night that Tupac sadly passed.
You were with Tupac, though, in regards to Tupac, I heard a story. Did you give him different advice that night on where to go?
I didn't give him no advice.
Right.
We wasn't seeing eye to eye.
Right.
So
saying during the Tyson.
Yeah, this incident that I'm explaining to you right now was the day before that.
Okay.
So when they got to Vegas, they went their way. I went back. I mean, when we got to LA, they went to Vegas and I went home. That's why I wasn't in the car with them.
This would end up getting the attention of the new police force investigating Tupac's passing. It would then be reported Snoop Dogg arrested and questioned to the Tupac Shakur incident. Police are questioning a recent interview by the rapper where he claims that he was supposed to be in the BMW with Tupac and Suge Knight. As the topic of Tupac during the interview originally came up, as Snoop Dogg was asked to react to Suge Knight's recent tweets of, "This little guy is responsible for the passing of Tupac," as well as another tweet from an anonymous account that states, "I've been quiet for too long. 2024, I'll be announcing what's really going on with Tupac Shakur." This makes many believe that the anonymous account is actually Suge Knight, revealing the truth through several Twitter accounts. Now, when you compare the new police files evidence from the investigator, where he claims that Tupac Shakur is still alive, to the other police files from his alleged passing, the truth then reveals itself. So allow me to explain. It all begins with a rapper named Treach. In 2010, Treach was interviewed on the topic of Tupac before his show. Treach and Tupac were very close friends back in the day, even working on a few albums together. But here's where things get weird. After Treach's interview, the cameraman forgot to stop recording. Placing his camera onto the floor, you can hear in the footage the interviewer asking Treach about Tupac, to which Treach responds, "Last time I saw him, he was in Cuba."
So if you ain't ready for it, get on the sidewalk.
One last question. Nobody knows.
Y'all good?
Yeah, we good. Thanks a lot, man.
We good. Last time I saw him, he was in church, man.
Then just 3 weeks later, another video would be released to a news website showing a video with Tupac supposedly chilling in a parking lot inside of Cuba.
Look, zoom in. That's Pac, man. He with the outlaw. And Reg from Holla Back is trying to be friendly and get autographs. Holla Back exclusive, baby. Holla Back.
As that entire sequence is what started the Tupac being alive inside a Cuba theory, which still remains the biggest theory to this day. Suge Knight also agrees that Tupac is alive and well. He has said so in so many interviews over the course of the last 2 decades. One interview from Suge Knight makes a very convincing case towards Tupac still being here. Suge Knight would state that Tupac was doing fine in the hospital before his passing. He said, "When I left that hospital, me and Tupac were laughing and joking. I don't see how someone can turn from doing well to doing bad."
I mean, when I left that hospital, me and Pac was laughing and joking. So I don't see how somebody can turn from doing well to doing bad.
So you seriously think that he might still be alive?
I'm gonna tell you this, Pac, you never know.
But what's weird about this is that according to police records, Tupac was supposedly in a very deep sleep when he arrived to the hospital. So how would he and Suge Knight be laughing and joking if Tupac was allegedly sleeping? It doesn't really seem to add up, but when you compare it to a 2008 interview 10 years apart, Suge Knight said the exact same thing. Tupac was alive and he was well.
So he was conscious on the way to the hospital?
He was conscious on the way to the hospital. He was conscious in the ambulance. He was conscious after they did the surgery.
What was the last thing that he said to you?
They left.
The concerning part was after the 2008 interview, the day after, Suge Knight almost lost his life at a nightclub when a man used a firearm in his direction 6 times. Suge Knight was hesitant to tell the police anything. He didn't want to tell anyone because he knew immediately that it was likely from him talking about Tupac during a public interview. The son of Suge, being Suge Knight Jr., also made the exact same mistake. In 2018, Suge Knight Jr. took it to Instagram stating that Tupac was alive and that he was living in Malaysia. Right after, he would then post another photo to Instagram showing a text conversation where someone says, "You have said too much, it's now time for you to go." This is then when Suge Jr. would begin posting several photos of Tupac alongside modern day celebrities such as 50 Cent and Beyonce. He made it seem like someone was going after him for leaking all of this info, just like someone went after his father for doing the 2008 interview. Even on the photo with Tupac and Beyonce, Suge Jr. captioned it, "He never left us, but they'll be after me soon." Some believe it's a publicity stunt for Suge Jr. to gain social media clout, but others believe that it was all factual, as he would be the one to know more about the case than anyone else in the world, considering who his father is. Now, when you compare all of that evidence of Tupac being alive to all of the police reports that I'm about to break down, you can start to see the truth behind Tupac being alive or not. The police very recently arrested a man named Keffe D in connection to the crime.
For 27 years, the family of Tupac Shakur has been waiting for justice. We are here today to announce the arrest of 60-year-old Dwayne Keith Davis, aka Keffe D, of Tupac Shakur. Davis was arrested this morning by my LVMPD criminal apprehension team, and this investigation started on the night of September 7th, 1996. It has taken countless hours, really decades, of work by the men and women of our section to get to where we are today.
As on September 7th, 1996, Tupac was in Las Vegas with the head of his record label, Suge Knight. The two were off to the MGM Grand to watch a Mike Tyson match, as after it was over and they were trying to leave, they ended up spotting an op in the lobby of the hotel, which then started an entire brawl inside of the hotel.
Suge Knight and their entourage went to the Mike Tyson at the MGM Grand. Keffe D and his nephew, Orlando Lane Anderson, and 2 of their friends were also there. Keffe D told LAPD Detective Greg Kading more than a decade ago, in a proffer that couldn't be used against him, the thing was retaliation after Tupac jumped Orlando and him up at the casino. Surveillance cameras recorded the fight. Tupac was angry that Lane had stolen his necklace years prior in Compton. Tupac, Suge Knight, and the entourage left the casino quickly.
Security would end up breaking up the altercation between Tupac, Suge, and the ops. Tupac and Suge would then go back to their hotel to change, then going off to a club at around 11 p.m. While the two were driving there, listening to very loud music inside of their BMW, things would then go down right in the middle of the street.
Knew about Tupac's concert at the Club 662. Members, including Orlando and Keith D, jumped in their white Cadillac and started cruising the strip looking for the offender. Before long, they finally spotted Tupac's caravan. At the intersection of East Flamingo Boulevard and Koval Lane, the white Cadillac pulled alongside the black BMW with Suge on the driver and Tupac on the passenger seats. The back window of the Cadillac rolled twice in the chest, once in the arm, once in the thigh.
The aftermath of the incident has been a mystery now for over 2 decades until now. The police this year investigated a very concerning interview by Keefe D on DJ Vlad's show. During the interview, it begins with Keefe D detailing the moments of finding Tupac and literally pulling up on him.
And Bubble Up was the driver, and Baby Lane and Freaky were in the back seat.
We was just all in the car together. Just say that.
This was the white Cadillac.
Yeah.
So you guys are driving around, and then you hear these girls say, Tupac, Tupac.
Got to the light. We was going to go drink, and he happened to be hanging out the window. He was hanging out the window like he was in a parade.
Tupac?
Yeah, he was.
So what happens next? You said that as you're driving up towards the BMW, with Suge driving and Tupac in the passenger seat.
The crime of Tupac has been a mystery for over 2 decades. This is why DJ Vlad was very skeptical on what Keefe D was saying and almost didn't even believe him at first. Keefe D would then share proof that he was literally there at the scene. He would end up sharing a never-before-seen police interrogation on the night of the crime.
Lane starts you say Suge looks over, he sees you? He looks right at you?
Yeah, he looked at me.
Okay. When he looks over at you, and then, Tupac's busy getting evidently, the story is Tupac's trying to either get out of the
back seat or something.
Yeah, what do you see happening inside of their car?
I seen him going Suge head. I thought he was.
So Orlando across Dre?
He leaned over on the window, we rolled down the window.
As Keefe D is releasing this footage for the first time ever, announcing that he was at the crime scene inside of the car and even made eye contact with Suge Knight. However, what he said next was the most concerning, where he would state that Tupac was allegedly reaching for his firearm, which is what started the entire incident.
You said that as you're driving up towards the BMW, with Suge driving and Tupac in the passenger seat, and you said that Tupac pulled out a...
It looked like he was reaching, yeah. Yeah, it did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you actually...
No, once he got the reaching, I got the ducking.
So, someone from your car...
That's what happened.
...started at Tupac and Suge.
With it very clear that Keefe D was at the scene of the crime, DJ Vlad would then ask Keefe D what his official reaction is to the entire incident. The police would then end up even storing this inside of their files as it shows Keefe D's actual true emotions.
Yeah, I hate that happened, dog. I really do, man. Cause it took a lot of people's lives, dude. I hate that happen. Probably to God. I feel they should, that was wrong, man. It was just wrong, purely wrong. You know what I'm saying? I wish it had never happened. You know what I'm saying? That's my opinion on it. Wish it never happened, dude. You know what I'm saying? I lost my Colombian plug. You know what I'm saying? Been having the feds up for 15 years. Couldn't do nothing. Couldn't catch a break, bro. You know what I'm saying? And I did time behind it.
This then leads into the passing of Juice WRLD, where some people believe that he's even still alive. Rappers are investigating Ali Lottie's recent claims about Juice WRLD's passing. Juice's ex-girlfriend Ali Lottie has been making many bold claims during a recent Instagram live, where she would say, and I quote, "Do you guys really think Juice passed from that? You are wrong, you're wrong, literally you're wrong. There's a lot of things you guys don't even know." Now this makes many believe that Juice WRLD may have stayed true to his word in 2017, where Juice would tweet, "My goal is to get overly quickly famous, shine for a couple years, and then fake my passing. So what is the truth? Well, to understand everything, we first need to dive deep in December 8th, 2019. As on December 8th, Juice WRLD alongside his girlfriend Ali, his filmer, and his security were all boarding a jet and flying into Chicago. While boarding the plane, it was already late for around 50 minutes, as the flight attendants, as well as the captain, didn't want to take off yet. The entire flight felt very strange to Juice WRLD's friend.
It was acting weird, the stewardess lady was acting weird, and I just felt something off. I got up to like, yo, we should leave. You know what I mean? I got up and walked to the door and then like to see if the cars were still there, and I'm like, because I was gonna be like, yo, let's just go off this plane.
As the reasoning for the flight being delayed for 50 minutes would then be exposed only 3 months after his passing, as sources claim the pilot was the first one onto the plane. But while Juice and his company were boarding the jet, the pilot was able to smell very strong narcotics. He would follow his job's protocol by leaving the jet and calling law enforcement immediately. On Juice WRLD's private jet, he brought on multiple illegal items onto the flight, from having 70 pounds of extracurricular items stuffed into suitcases, 2 firearms with high-capacity magazines, alongside multiple items stuffed into Ali Lottie's handbag. The police would end up telling the captain, who was on the phone with police for roughly 10 minutes, to resume the flight as normal. Don't make any weird movements and just fly the plane to Chicago. This is exactly why Ali Lottie herself ended up blaming the pilot for Juice's passing on Instagram Live.
I've lost 2 of the most important people in my life because of snitches.
As in, what world would law enforcement tell a pilot to just resume the flight as normal? But this is exactly what would happen. The flight was going normal as usual. However, they would reach the point when arriving in Chicago where you're allowed to turn off airplane mode on your phone. Being 5 minutes left until they reached the airport, Juice's team would receive a text message of a warning.
Everything was normal and everything was fine, and once we started getting closer to Chicago and we started getting service on our phones, our security guard, Hen, texted the group chat and was basically like, cops are here and they have a dog.
As the entire airport was quickly swarmed with security, police officers, as well as canine units. And it would be at this moment where everyone inside of the private jet would quickly begin panicking, so Juice WRLD would end up grabbing the extra items that were stuffed into Ali Lottie's handbag. Now, law enforcement believed that during the flight, when Juice WRLD and his team were told that the police were awaiting their arrival, Juice WRLD would end up taking more and more of the items in Ali's handbag to hide them from the authorities. This is because the plane was rented in Juice WRLD's name, meaning all of the illegal items on the flight would be put onto him when it comes to law enforcement searching his plane. We're unsure of the exact amount of time Juice WRLD would have been locked up in prison for, but according to lawyers online, they predicted a maximum of 20 years inside of prison for using a private jet to transport 70 pounds of extracurricular items across the United States, as well as carrying 2 illegal firearms. So hearing that information would cause anyone to freak out and get nervous. So when you add all of the items that Juice WRLD took, mixed in with all of the nerves of knowing law enforcement is awaiting your arrival, this is what caused the incident to Juice WRLD's heart. Now, when it happened and they finally landed the plane, witnesses claim that Juice WRLD would be quickly transported to emergency care. However, he would sadly pass in the process. While paramedics were helping Juice WRLD, the feds and the canine units were going through the luggage on the plane. The dogs were able to quickly sniff out the illegal items, which would end up raising the question of why would Juice even bring 70 pounds on a plane? It would end up being later revealed on why he did it. Before his passing, Juice WRLD's birthday party was coming up the following day, as mentioned by his filmer Chris, who was also on the plane.
Weekend, we're going to Chicago to celebrate his birthday. It was just his birthday the other day, but we're going this weekend, Saturday. We're flying out there. We're gonna have a birthday party with his mom and family and friends and stuff like that from out there. So
then 2 of the rapper's security guards were also arrested on the scene for the firearms while inside of the airport. Then later, Juice's photographer was also arrested and booked, and he was charged with a misdemeanor of firearm violation. So with an investigation now in place by law enforcement, OG rapper Boosie would suggest that the pilot of the plane was ultimately responsible for the passing of Juice WRLD, and he would refer to the pilot pilot as a snitch. Because how did law enforcement know that Juice would be carrying several pounds of illegal narcotics on a plane? Another theory is it may have had something to do with Ali Lottie's countless cases of trafficking charges. Her renting a private jet with her famous boyfriend may have raised a red flag in the system. However, many others believe that Juice's Instagram live streams showing everything off before getting onto the plane caused the setup by the police department so then he could finally distance himself from the spotlight. One passing to remember will always be King Von's due to the backstory behind the entire situation. Rappers continue to react to the passing of King Von 4 years later, as recently we just heard Boosie reveal that King Von's biggest mistake on the night that he passed was that he was not strapped.
I mean, like you said, the King Von situation, like there was absolutely no reason for Von to be rolling around with that dude. Like, there was no, especially since he had security, like, you know, someone should have jumped in. It should never even, you know,
King Von
I almost feel like, yeah, but I almost feel like if
all
you have real security,
all of them is supposed to blast. I feel like they would have been more ready in Chicago.
Sad, man, sad. I mean, the whole King Von thing is really kind of hanging
me up,
over everyone right now.
That f me up, bro, you know. Because I like King Von, you know.
However, rappers would continue revealing new updates on the truth behind Von's passing, as on November 5th, 2020, King Von and his crew prepared to head to a club in Atlanta for his album's release party. The night was supposed to be a massive celebration of the life and success for King Von, but nobody knew that it would be so short-lived. King Von had many enemies. Growing up in a dangerous place such as O-Block, he knew the risks of being caught lacking in public. So when he was rolling to the club, King Von had a crew with him of 20 to 25 members across 8 different vehicles that all went to the surprise party. As even King Von's manager 100K Track said, Von took extreme measures for security.
I travel with one security that moves with Von, and he traveled with 2 more security. You know what I'm saying? Von traveled in a proof truck, and not only that, his guys are security, man. He travels with 10 to 15 guys daily. They protect and love Von more than any security would. We're like, I think we're about 8-10 cars deep, 20-25 on entourage.
However, later on in the night, something would change. Von would start acting out and he would put his life in jeopardy. But in the meantime, Von's party was going great. Everyone was having a great time, celebrating the success of King Von's newest album. Then when the party ended at around 2:30 a.m., Von and his entourage began exiting the club. Everyone had the plan of returning to the Airbnb and hotels for the night, but King Von changed the plans and decided to go elsewhere.
Everybody mind leaving the club is that we're going to the hotel and the Airbnb, because that's normal routine. The club he went to, the after hours, wasn't getting paid for. I didn't have no acknowledgement of. His team didn't have no acknowledgement of. That was a complete Von decision.
Now, with the whole crew heading to the Airbnb, King Von would tell his driver to go to a different club known as the Monaco Lounge, as this would be the first bad decision that King Von made on this night.
So everybody else that was with us driving to the Airbnb, and Von literally went to the venue by himself. We got a call later from people in the car, like, hey bro, we here by, matter of fact, I think from his DJ was like, hey bro, you know, we here by ourselves, like, where you guys at? And everybody rerouted to that venue.
Now, for some reason, the people in Von's truck only let the rest of the team know the plans have changed once they arrived at Monaco. So when the rest of the team found out at the Airbnb, they quickly turned on their vehicles and the others made a quick U-turn and started beelining it straight to the Monaco Lounge. As once Von's manager got to Monaco, he knew immediately something was off about King Von, and he wasn't acting like the upbeat guy like he usually is. He was very quiet, sitting in the back seat of his car. Now, Von's crew was ready to enter the club, but King Von sat in the truck for up to 30 minutes.
For some reason, Von wasn't himself. This man is like, I promise you, the best artist I ever moved in my life. For some reason that night, it was off. Like, he stayed in the car for like 30-35 minutes.
This is then when 100K Track got into the vehicle with Von and checked up on him. Von then finally agreed to go into the lounge, but due to Monaco's club rules, King Von's entire crew had to leave their firearms in the car. So with no firearms being inside, the security would go in the Monaco Lounge first to check the club, making sure everything was safe.
I went to the car he was in, I was like, yo, Von. Went inside the passenger seat, I was like, yo, Von, bro, what's going on? Like, everybody here waiting, let's go. He was like, all right, let's go. We're telling security, hey, it's time to go in now. Von's ready. You know what I'm saying? We've been here too long. Let's go inside the club. They check the venue, go inside, check the outside, make sure there's no
As while the security was inside checking the club out, the real danger was actually outside of the club in a parking lot, because Quando Rondo was in his car with a couple of his own friends trying to get some sleep, with King Von and a few of his friends sitting in the parking lot waiting for the okay from their security to go in. They realized that Quando was sleeping in his car, and somebody would tell King Von that he was over there, and he would immediately begin running.
Now, right before we go inside the club, one of his homeboys, he came to the car and said, "Hey, so-and-so's here." And Von just jumped up like, "Oh, come on, let's go."
King Von reacted instantly, jumping out of the truck, looking to confront Quando Rondo. Von's team tried to get him to chill out and not start a scene, but that didn't stop him at all. King Von went around of the front of the white vehicle and immediately began swinging at Quando.
He jumped out the car. By the time Von jumped out the car, I don't even think he knew where so-and-so was. He just jumped out the car. He bumped into so-and-so. As soon as he bumped into so-and-so, started brawling.
As King Von was giving Quando Rondo the business right in the middle of the street. However, Quando's best friend Lil Tim then wakes up from his sleep in the back seat. He stumbles out of the white car with his firearm and ends up using it towards King Von and Quando right in the middle of the street. He was using it wildly, hitting Von multiple times while also hitting Von's manager once in the leg. However, some of Von's members were still strapped. They instantly retaliated against Lil Tim, making him fall to the ground only a few feet away. Then, with the sound of clips going off in the area, 2 off-duty officers working security down the street and 1 on-duty officer would quickly pull up to the scene. They would begin unleashing multiple rounds into the area, which sadly resulted in the passing of one of King Von's friends. During this, King Von is lying in the middle of the street with Quando right beside him. People online believe that Quando was actually trying to snatch Von's chain before fleeing the area, but others say that Von was not letting go of Quando no matter what. He was using him as a shield.
And was he trying to take Von's chain or?
Honest truth, I don't think V-Roy had no jewelry on, and from the people that was a little bit closer, Von was actually holding onto him like, "Man, you ain't going nowhere. Like, you here, like, even through getting he's that strong. Like, he was literally holding him."
Then once the scene relaxed a bit and people stopped using their firearms, the race to save King Von's life was officially on. His closest friend Muop ran right into the middle of the street. He knocked Quando right out of the way from Von. Quando and his team would then quickly leave the scene, including the hitter of Lil Tim. They would then jump into their white car and start heading to the hospital. Meanwhile, Von's crew helped him up, get into the getaway vehicle, and also drive to the same hospital. Despite being hit 4 times, King Von was conscious the entire time inside of the vehicle. The members that were in the car have spoken out, saying what was going on, as they said that Von was trying to keep everyone in good spirits and assured everyone that everything would be okay.
When he was in the car, I myself wasn't there. The gentleman that was in the car with him was panicking, and Von was the one that was like, "Hey, calm down, slow down, chill, I'm gonna be good, just get me to the hospital." And honest truth, we all thought that the way he was carrying himself, from that incident, from what I was told from the people in the car, that he would have been fine.
After arriving at the hospital, King Von was then quickly rushed into the operating room, but unfortunately passed during the surgery. And then once the news of Von's passing shook the entire rap industry online, many couldn't even believe it, as Von is one of Chicago's most fearless and dangerous members of O Block. It was actually unbelievable to see Von had fallen to beef with another rapper.
This made national headlines as officials confirmed one of the 3 people was rapper King Von from Chicago, who was here last night with friends.
2 groups of individuals got into a physical altercation. That physical altercation escalated into an exchange of guns.
On the other side, Lil Tim did survive his injuries at the hospital. The following day, however, he was arrested and charged with the passing of King Von. Lil Tim did go through multiple bond hearings and he was denied. But in March 2021, he received a $100,000 bond, and ever since then, the charges against Lil Tim were actually dropped. As confirmed by his attorney in August 2023, it states, "The case against Mr. Leaks, aka Lil Tim, was dismissed before ever being indicted." But jumping back into the year 2020, only 2 weeks after Von sadly passed, Quando Rondo would release a disrespectful track titled "End of Story." This is implying that it was the end of King Von, since he is also known for the Crazy Story music series. In the lyrics, Quando goes off about that night. He says, and I quote, "Your brother on the ground, go pick your man up. That's right, we scream in self-defense. He shouldn't have put his hands on me. Look at the footage. That's all the evidence. See? Those men shouldn't have ran up on me. Then Lil Tim would follow it up with his track, trying to start a music career off the incident, where he raps the lyrics, and I quote, on his song Off the List, just checked him, new man off the list, quick to get you down, check the score, I don't miss. This is referencing the night of King Von's passing and saying that he checked Von off of the list of people to hit. It would be this moment when Von's best friend Lil Durk, as well as O-Block members, knew that they had to do something about it. They couldn't just let them get off the hook for what they did, so in the following months, we would hear of a big-time hit against Quando's crew.
Right now, the search is on for 3 people who police say at a Savannah rapper, a member of his entourage. It happened in Los Angeles, and cameras captured the aftermath.
As a result, one of Quando's closest and best friends, Lil Pab, was taken out during the hit. News footage captured the moment that Quando found out, and he experienced the same pain that Von's friends did just 1 year prior.
This man, a passenger in that car, frantic at the sight.
Not long after that, Durk would actually claim to be behind the hit with a diss track titled Aha, with the lyrics, and I quote, "They like Durk, he is singer, he won't do some. You can believe whatever you want, I got your folks hit." And he even mentions how Quando screamed after finding Lil Pab was gone in his future on Wonderful Wayne and Jackie Boy, where he says the lyrics, and I quote, "Look on the news and see your son screaming no, no." Now Quando's ultimately backed down since losing someone very close to him. He's even tried to distance himself from the entire street life. However, O-Block in general hasn't been nearly the same since King Von is gone. The members are a lot more on edge after seeing what happened to Von. Someone they thought could never fall to the street life, even something as simple as going across the street to look at King Von's mural, as O-Block members would show this during an Instagram live.
Check it out, let's walk over here and see this Von picture. I know it's a lot of ops on this. I'm letting y'all see where I'm at. Why is this black truck still right here? Man. Watch that truck. Watch that truck right there.
Then the passing of Migos rapper Takeoff has a deep backstory, first needing to understand the issues within the Migos at the time. Before Takeoff sadly passed on November 1st, there was internal beef inside the Migos trio between Quavo and Offset. Then when Takeoff sadly passed, the beef only got worse to the point where Quavo was sneak dissing Offset in his new lyrics, as well as even avoiding him at an NBA game just recently, choosing not to sit with him as well as avoiding him at the game. However, the beef didn't really feel real until Quavo dropped another Takeoff tribute track titled Greatness. As in the lyrics, he mentions that the Migos are now officially done as a group. On February 22nd, Quavo ended all speculation revolving around the idea of Quavo and Offset returning as a duo for the Migos. As in the lyrics, Quavo states, "So don't ask about the group. He's gone, we gone. Young man, it can't come back." When saying he's gone, he's obviously referring to Takeoff sadly passing, but he's also confirming that the Migos are officially over. Now, a main issue Offset is having with Quavo currently is allegedly that he was not invited to the Halloween party with him and Takeoff where the incident went down. Also because Quavo isn't helping the feds solve this case, because currently Takeoff's passing away case is being stalled by Quavo, as the police department in Houston have been getting statements from all witnesses at the scene to understand how Takeoff truly passed. However, there is one person that has not been helping and has been rejecting the phone calls from the feds, and that person is none other than Quavo, as he continues to decline their phone calls after the feds are reaching out even on social media, asking for help on what he knows. As it was reported, and I quote, "Also revealed in the courtroom was Quavo, another member of the Migos and Takeoff's uncle, was a part of the argument and altercation that led to this incident. Defense attorneys and prosecutors said Quavo has not been cooperating. Now, instead of cooperating with the feds to try to solve this case, Quavo is handling it himself, releasing songs and speeches dedicated to Migos rapper Takeoff. Now, Quavo's actions did, yes, play a huge role in the passing of Takeoff, as mentioned by DJ Academics during an interview with DJ Vlad.
Quavo says, you know what? I'm gonna walk off. He's like, yo, let's go. But I'm gonna also be honest, he says something that I think could have incited the whole thing. Not that necessarily is his fault. He says, man, let me get on it. Let me get up on out of here before I hurt somebody. And when you think about all these situations, like Quavo says that, I think that sets in motion, granted the argument sets everything in motion, but him walking away and saying that I think someone acted on behalf of whoever he was arguing with. The guy with the either seen someone else brandish. He pulled out his. Quavo's already out the mix, so he's back there. The melee's here. Takeoff is still in the middle.
Leave a like on the video if you're a fan of Takeoff. I'm curious how many fans are watching today. Now, to further prove that Offset is upset with Quavo for not being with Takeoff when he sadly passed, was their speeches at Takeoff's funeral, as they were not together on the stage. They had different people alongside them, as seen during Quavo's speech.
You always with me, and we did everything together. Since we was kids, you been by my side, looking up at me with them eyes. Same eyes you got as my sister. Waiting on me to make the next move, then you followed up right behind me. You always made sure I did it first, so you can do it right with me. You never competed with me. We was always on the same team because you hated playing against me because I always played too hard or too rough. And I can hear mama saying, not too rough, son. Remember our first dream was to be tag team partners in the WWE. We fell in love with WWE wrestling. We had every...
Now, during Quavo's speech, he mentions, Takeoff is super quiet though, quietest in the room, but paid attention to everything going on in the room. He's always been like that. Nothing ever really bothered Take, and he didn't bother anybody. And just remember that part of the message as it relates to the witnesses' statements told to the feds, as I will share later. But here is Offset's speech, again, on stage alongside others, and not with Quavo.
Change the culture of music forever. You did that, Tate. You changed that flow. That flow came from Tate, the originator. The originator of that flow. You changed the music. Lord, give us the strength. Just give us the strength. The family, everybody, give us some strength. I don't want to question you, God, but I don't get it. I don't get you sometimes. And I believe in you, Father. Change the culture of music forever. You did it, Tate.
And now that we understand the current beef between Quavo and Offset, we can now take a closer look into the passing of Takeoff, as new evidence has been revealed sharing everything. On November 1st, 2022, it was reported that Takeoff was passing at the age of 28 years old after an incident in Houston, Texas. Now, this went viral on news headlines, getting reactions from many rappers in the industry, even such as Boosie, who said this.
R.I.P. Takeoff, bro. Shaking my head, man. Humble. That music syndicate won't show QC, all the family. We sending some prayers and love for y'all. All Takeoff family, Quavo, Offset, all y'all. That music syndicate won't, send their prayers out. His rap whack, bro. I ain't lying. We targets now, bro. We used to be heroes, Everybody want us out of here, bro. R.I.P. Takeoff.
To even Master P giving his reaction on his Instagram.
And hip hop is too young. Rest in peace to Takeoff. My condolences goes out to Takeoff family, Quavo, man, all my soldiers and soldier reps. Hip hop has turned to the new streets. We used to be in the streets trying to get into hip hop, which is crazy. When you walk out your house, tell your loved ones you love them, because you never know who might not come back. And no matter how old or young you are, it's crazy. I love y'all soldiers and salute to everybody. Let's save the next generation.
And with the passing of Takeoff obviously being one of the biggest moments of the year 2022, it got the attention of everyone in the world. So everybody wanted to know exactly what happened. The internet came together and they closed the case faster than the feds did, finding all suspects within the few hours. The first suspect is DJ Clark, aka Patrick Clark by his real name, as DJ Akademiks Academics tweeted, "Police arrest man for the passing of Takeoff. His name is Patrick Clark. Sources in Texas say he's commonly known as DJ Pat, with this mugshot included." As DJ Academics also then tweeted, according to court documents, Patrick Clark, aka DJ Clark, applied for an emergency passport days after the passing of Takeoff, and he booked a flight to Mexico. When police arrested him, he had a large amount of cash on him, as prosecutors claim that he's a flight risk for bond. Now, the second suspect is Cameron Joshua, aka Lil Cam. As it was reported just in, Takeoff's passing suspect, Cameron Joshua, has been arrested on firearm possession, leaving the third suspect being Takeoff's own boy named Migo Bands, as Migo Bands spent the entire day with Quavo and Takeoff and is a very close family friend. On this night, Migo Bands was seen wearing a snapback hat, diamond chain, Gucci bag, as well as t-shirt, as seen in Quavo's Instagram story at the beginning of the night. 10 hours before the passing of Takeoff, his day started getting together with Quavo, Migo Bands, and a driver for their vehicle. They were invited to a Halloween party hosted by Jay Prince Jr. in Houston, Texas. At this party, it consisted of many music reps, businessmen, as well as street members. As an Instagram story showed Quavo, Takeoff, Migo Bands, and their driver of their vehicle driving over to the party in Houston, as the party starts with Quavo and Takeoff performing a few songs at the beginning of the event, then leading into an after party room where games of dice were played in exchange of cash. What many people are aware of, in this after party room, all three suspects are standing within 15 feet from each other. And the most concerning part was that Quavo knew that Cameron Joshua was up to no good before anything even happened. As in this video screenshot, Quavo was seen giving Cameron a very ugly look while playing games, almost as if he knew Cam was up to no good at this party. Cameron was seen wearing a yellow sweater this night. Make sure you remember that. Now, after this was complete, Takeoff, Migo Bands, and Quavo, they were then seen walking through the shopping center in Houston, Texas. Alongside a lump sum of around 30 estimated people, these individuals wanted to play more games of dice in exchange for cash, and they ran out of time in the after party room, so they went to a bowling alley called 810 Billiards in Bowling, Houston. Right outside of the bowling alley was all 30 people standing in a massive circle playing games of dice. While Quavo was just watching people play, a mystery man that still remains nameless walks up to Quavo and begins mocking him for the way that he played during a celebrity basketball game just a few weeks prior. At this current moment, Takeoff is seen around 7 feet to the side of Quavo, minding his own business but keeping an eye on him at the same time. Quavo and this mystery man continue arguing. It even leads up to a point where Quavo is seen saying, "Man, I don't care about no basketball game." And with the yelling beginning to escalate in this area, Cameron Joshua is seen making his way through the pile of people and standing right beside Quavo, just listening to these men argue. And with the yelling only continue to escalate, Migo Bands is then seen from the back making his way through the people as well, as allegedly Migo Bands was only invited to the party to be sort of street security for Takeoff and Quavo, almost as if, you know, they weren't allowed to bring in a real security guard, but Migo Bands could get the job done if needed. Now, you can tell this is Migo Bands due to the t-shirt, Gucci bag, single chain, and snapback he was wearing in the vehicle earlier. Migo Bands then makes his way through the group. He then stands to the other side of Quavo, making sure no issues are about to go down. Once Quavo is done arguing with this mystery man, Quavo says he's done and turns his back to begin walking away. Once Quavo turns his back and starts walking away, the mystery man then swings towards Quavo. When the mystery man begins swinging, this is when witnesses claim Migo Bands reaches for his firearm, as he has to protect Quavo. Now, him doing the motion of pulling out his firearm also then causes allegedly Cameron Joshua to pull out his firearm. And again, most instances like this causes then DJ Clark to pull out his firearm, as there's a massive brawl about to go down. Now, remind you, Quavo walked away. 3 people are pulling their firearm, and just imagine a triangle shape. With 3 suspects now having firearms in their hand, Takeoff is actually in the middle of this so-called triangle. Now, witnesses claimed that one suspect used their firearm first and that the other did. It's still not confirmed. All we know is someone used their firearm, causing the other 2 to use theirs as well. And in the middle of everything was Takeoff, and he was sadly affected by strays. Then leading into Jay DeYoungin, who sadly passed out of nowhere. On July 27th, 2022, the world stood still at 5:50 p.m. as reports were being released of Louisiana rapper Jay DeYoungin sadly passed outside of his family's residence. Jay's father, Kenyatta Scott, was also affected at the scene. At 5:50 p.m., the Louisiana police station received a call reporting a firearm use with somebody affected in the area. They quickly respond to a home with a bright blue Corvette parked in the driveway, along with a man who had sadly been affected by a firearm on the driveway of the house. The man on the driveway was Louisiana rapper Jay DeYoungin, who would be quick to get treatment on the scene before quickly getting transported by EMS to the nearest hospital. Officers learned quickly that there was another man involved who had been affected by a firearm as well, but that man was already being driven to the emergency room by a nearby neighbor. Now, word quickly spread to social media outlets such as Say Cheese and others that rapper Jay DeYoungin was in critical condition. The only status given by sources close to the family was that he wasn't breathing an hour after the incident. Now, with Jay being taken into the emergency room, very quickly ops must have been in the area following the ambulance that was driving Jay, as officers would have to respond to a second incident of firearms being used at the hospital. Now, a vehicle had been destroyed due to firearms by whoever was following the ambulance, but luckily no one in the end was affected. Investigators believe the 2 incidents were connected, and it may have even been a second try at getting Jay DeYoungin. Now, rumors quickly started going around the internet that Jay DeYoungin passed away, as credible sources online were tweeting about it. Now, this is when Jay's sister replied to all of these outlets, saying that he didn't pass and to stop spreading fake news. Now, a few hours passed, with his family and friends no longer posting on social media, claiming that he's alive or anything. The clock would then turn to midnight, as it was announced that Jay DeYoungin sadly passed, as his condition was just too bad. The police would officially declare Jay DeYoungin has sadly passed, and they also identified the second person that was affected, who was his father, Kenyatta Scott Sr. As news outlets Say Cheese would report on Instagram alleging there had been a firearm incident in the parking lot of the hospital, with reports from the streets claiming ops went after Jay once again at the hospital. Now, just to make the situation even worse, this all occurred in the front of Jay DeYoungin's mother's house, as multiple pictures posted on social media would show his mother and other relatives posing in front of the home and taking photos. Now, it wasn't long until people online would Google the address found in all of the videos going online. They noticed it was Jay DeYoungin's family house. It revealed that multiple family members are registered to this address, but it most likely Jay DeYoungin had his own crib somewhere else. Now, it wouldn't be too crazy to think that if somebody wanted to find Jay's whereabouts, they can easily just search the address and then just drive past the house every so often until you see the bright blue Corvette, as the biggest giveaway to him being found that day was his blue Corvette sitting in the driveway of the house. The neighborhood this house is located in isn't one of the safest places either, as police are currently investigating on who could have done this crime, as it's pretty common where houses in the hood with supercars in the driveway are scouted on by a lot of people in the neighborhood very actively. exactly. Jay's Corvette really resembles young Dolph's Corvette that was also on the scene of his passing as well, and it just looked too similar. Another route the police are looking into is Jay's dad, as he could have been originally the main target in this situation. After doing investigation work, Jay DeYoungin's father, according to court documents, is very well known to the Louisiana Police Department. Jay's father listed the house of the scene of the crime as his own, and interestingly enough, his father, a 44-year-old male, is a registered offender after a 2010 conviction. Then again in 2016, he was arrested again and charged with the exact same case, but including a battery charge. He had actually won the second case in court, but then in 2021, he was then featured on the local news after another arrest warrant was issued on the exact same charges as the last two, which is a 4-letter word that I'm not allowed to say here on YouTube. Now, police believe that Jay DeYoungin was the main target in this crime, but to not also rule out the possibility of Jay's father also being the main target for his countless cases in that area, and with his court cases being very, very disturbing. Once news broke out of Jay DeYoungin's passing, it wasn't long until rappers started reacting, as Young and Ace, a friend of Jay, then wrote to Instagram this message: "Damn, I wasn't even gonna come post, brother, cause this stuff been eating me inside. Cause we wasn't seeing eye to eye about some stuff that we could have rekindled. I wanted to call you so bad, brother, but it was just our pride in the way, dog. We was better than that stuff. We was going through some stuff so little, damn low, brother. I hate even going through this stuff again and again. All my love goes out to your family. You know I love them like they're mine, and that they always treated me like family. I always been in your corner. I always wanted you to win, brother. No matter what it was, I wish I could call you, brother. I'll trade all of these memories in just to make one more new one with you. At Jay DeYoungin, I'm lost, I'm hurt, broken twin, I love you forever." Leading into Jay DeYoungin's girlfriend and the mother of his child's reaction saying, "Thank God my last words to you were I love you. I hope you know how much though. I'm so hurt, bae. How could you just leave me like that? I would have never left you. Ever. One thing we could do is make each other smile. Such a kind-hearted, sweet soul. The thing I admired about you the most is you forgave. Always. And that's all that really matters, baby. That's what God wants the most out of everyone. So I know you made him proud. First Maisie, now you. I don't know how I can keep going. I'm so hurt. My best friend, my headache, my husband, my everything. My baby, you did not deserve this. I still can't believe it. Watch out of Maisie for me, my love. I'll never forget you and what we had. I fell in love with you the first day I met you and haven't been a day without talking since. This is gonna be so hard for me, but I know you would want me to stay strong. I'll try, but I don't know." Now, sources claim from people that were at the scene and just watched the last bit of what happened, a car ran up onto their driveway. Somebody hopped out of the vehicle, noticed Jay DeYoungin walking to his car with his father just near him. A small argument then brewed up before firearms were just being used. With firearms being used in the area, everybody was ducking for cover that was around, and they weren't really watching what happened at that point. All sources claim is that the people that did it hopped back into their vehicle before driving away. Now, rest in peace, Jay DeYoungin. If you were a fan of his music or you enjoyed a song here and there, leave a like on the video. I'm curious how many fans are watching today. It's been District Trending, and I'm out. Peace.